It's semifinal action here on Saturday of the 2022 Canadian Ultimate Championships Women's Division action between Iris out of Quebec and Stella out of Ottawa. Theo Wan here with G Lee, Tushar Singh as a producer. Iris in blue, Stella in white. G, how you feeling about this matchup?
Oh, it's a hot one right now, and I am very excited to see this matchup. It's actually an early one for us because we thought this was going to be our final. So here we are, semis, and looking forward to them grinding this one out.
Yeah, you had a chance to speak to Coach Fisher before and got some insight into what Iris is trying to do in this game.
Yeah, Iris is really looking to just play touchable D, focusing on grinding every single point, making it really, really hard for their opponents right now, and just making it just super difficult for them to get easy passes.
Both teams being at Worlds as we're going to get started here. They didn't actually play at that tournament, so a chance to fight again here as Stella coming out on defense. Sam Green pulling it here and Prevost to center. Iris out here on offense, going right to left on your screen. Women's semifinal action underway. Great under there. Swing to the far side to Vinay. Prevost gets it just before midfield for this Iris team.
It's looking good right now. Stella right now is just moving and pushing them back every single time. All the cutters are having a little difficult time getting open.
Center of the field here for Iris, and there's going to be a pick call. Going to send things back here.
Iris is moving the disc really well right now, showing a lot of patience, seeing what's open, seeing what's there, and making an easier shot.
Cote with some fakes. Iris still not there, knocking at the door. Very patient right now, going to the far side to Robert, who scoops it up off the turf for the score.
Great patience again, as you see, swinging it side to side, having a really nice break throw. It looks like it's not going to be very easy for any team on offense right now. Stella's coming out hot, and now we get to see Iris's D-line, and I do believe that they're going to be also trying to wear them down. We see Stella's new O-line coming out right now, and the fresh D-line coming. Iris is getting ready to it. I was talking to Coach Fisher just now, and she was saying that they're going to implement some new zone defenses, which they've been doing throughout this tournament, something that they were watching at Worlds and something that they were seeing from European teams. It'll be interesting to see how fast Stella can adjust to this new type of D. We've seen a few different defenses this whole tournament, so I think it's going to be great to see all the different teams making these quick adjustments, or if they can. And this game is going to go either way right now. Let's see if it works.
The defense cheers coming from Iris right now as the pole going off. Dion with the pole, Florence. As we get a look, as you mentioned, at the Stella offensive line. Jaffray, the main handler, trying to get free. Does on a reset. Speaking with Coach Ambry before the game, he mentioned they knew they were going to have to play Iris if they wanted to win a title. Either in the semis or final, wherever. They knew they had to go through this team, so they're not afraid of this matchup. And a turnover, there's some miscommunication. Jaffray, the intended target.
I'm noticing that Iris right now is playing that grinding defense and really trying to front those offensive players. Stella had a tough time moving that disc.
Huck going up and reeled in. Iris gets the first break. Levesque going up large as they celebrate on the field.
That's right. It paid off. Grinding it out, wearing them down, and We were only in the beginning of this game, but I do feel like this is going to keep happening the whole time.
So this is where Stella needs to fight back here. We see some players jogging on the field. Effort being one of them, bringing the experience. Playing for shame this season in Colorado, having played for Arizona Lawless last year, an upstart team that made the USA Ultimate National Championships in the mixed division.
Very interesting to see all these players go to different teams, especially in the U.S., and getting that experience playing maybe a different style ultimate, different way of just playing the game and bringing it back to their own teams up here.
Yeah, an interesting story, not funny story, a very interesting story is Eifert actually lived in upstate New York, Effort, and was able to commute and play for Stella. So that's how that connection happened. Also played with them at Worlds.
Wow. I'm loving the commitment. That's a commitment to keep driving and just playing with these teams.
In smaller communities in the United States, we do see a lot of people who actually like have to commute really far to go to practice. That's something that in some communities in Canada we don't have, depending
Except
where you are. If you're in a larger city center, of course, a little bit easier. You probably have some experience there.
Little bit.
Throw looking for Effort, going long. Genet to pick up. A strong defensive handler for this group.
You can see with that disc there, the wind is picking up a little bit, floating it far, far to the sideline.
Dion going break side and a great bid Effort. But coming up empty.
Looks like a vert stack setting up by Stella right now. A tight match D happening.
See the sideline getting involved, which is really exciting to see. They're keeping their team engaged on the field. Marshall going around to Effort. Trying to look for Ramich, who kind of slips on the field. We've seen that a couple times now in the last stream where people had to blow some tires there on the field. Wardle, the intended target.
Sometimes I feel turf is a little harder to just make those cuts. And maybe right now they're just not used to it, having not played on the turf as much in this tournament.
Molte finds Dion, who snags with the left hand. Going around to Genet. You see Stella's O-line defense really trying to pressure this end zone set, making throws difficult. But Iris slowly inching up here. Reset back to Genet as there's a pick called. Firing inside shot that's snagged, but the pick called 2 throws before that. Comtois did make the grab though.
Looks like there's a discussion. I think they're trying to figure out, Theo, where the disc is going to go.
It seemed like it was a couple throws back when I saw the pick. Not sure if it was acknowledged by the thrower there, but.
I don't think she heard it. Made the right move though. She's looking for that swing right away. Back to thrower.
Genet getting marked by Nadinger. Some discussion still to be had of where players should be. We thank you for joining us for this women's semifinal action. We got more games coming at you. Mixed semifinal too at 12:30 Eastern. Stay tuned for that one. A little inside cut with the face guarding defender and Wardle. Allowing Dion to get free. Give and go with Genet. And that give and go is going to lead to a 3rd straight point and a 2nd break for the Quebec side.
A timeout has been called by Stella, as you can see them in the middle right now. And they're just getting a reset. I think this is a good time for them to just reset, figure things out. It looks a little tense out there for them. Their throws are a little late. The cuts are not there as fast as they want them to be, or the opposite way, but you could tell that there's a bit of tension right now. Might be nerves, and they need to get their head back in the game.
For Stella, they're 1-2 in this matchup. They lost 2 games in a tournament called MGM in Ottawa earlier this year. But then they played a round-robin tournament, the tournament aptly named Fishbowl. Allison Fisher being a big part of that organization committee. And so the tournament was named after fish, called the Fishbowl. It was a round robin tournament with Sixers as well. All teams there were competing at Worlds, including Salty from Halifax, Winnipeg Fusion as well. And so in that tournament, Stella did get a big victory over Iris. I believe it was 12-3. It was a large scoreline there, and so they do know that they can beat this team. They hadn't done it in a couple of years, I was told, but they were able to do that, and so they have that confidence to be able to come back and make a run here as we see Fish on the line giving instructions. No stranger to the coaching scene here in Canada, being named the U24 women's head coach as well.
Yeah, she's been doing some scouting actually over at CUC's, which is really cool because she gets to kind of see everybody play, focusing on Iris, of course, but kind of glancing over to see if there's anybody that would like to try out and just talk to her. And that's what she was saying. She made an effort to tell coaches and players to introduce U24s to her. Oh, I love it. Iris is like, I love their sideline. They're one of my favorite sidelines. Just they're so hyped up for anything, winning or even when they're down, like all of it. That's the energy you want.
Joffrey centering over to Ramich. Queen's University product, getting things going. Finding Wardle. Effort flipping over to Joffrey here. Can Stella punching this point? They're working it, flowing it well here in this horizontal stack set. And the throw slipping out of the hands of Effort.
That was a tough mistake over there. But hopefully Effort could come back and get this D. Iris moving it well, getting set up.
Dujon pointing out instructions, and it's taken down there by Comtois. Janae scissoring a flick inside. Wah finding Janae. It's going every other as the main handler for this defensive group. Only seen the offensive line once as they've gone 2 breaks so far, trying to get a 4-0 lead here. Janae takes advantage of the face guarding defender and throws an inside shot for another score. Iris getting a break, showing their might.
Again, you see the patience on those handlers there, waiting for the right cut. And they are just so good at moving that disc and looking for an opening. And you can see right there, that's the third one.
Iris's energy really carrying them forth here. Their energy, a big part of their team. So we're seeing that right now. Jamie Hoover, Diana Trin, and Allison Fisher, their coaching staff. For the Stella side, Tim Ambry, Josie Guillard as well. Guillard having participated in the Canadian Masters Championships with Solstice, an Ottawa squad, so lending her experience over. And now that experience hoping to carry through for this offensive line. We see veteran Samantha Green out there, number 6. A lot of the disc throwing flowing through that veteran. 9 assists heading into this game. Defense chance coming from the Quebec side. They draw players from around the province. So we call them Quebec Iris for the all intents and purposes of this stream. Players from different cities in that Quebec region. Brenneman. Gonna go up the line to Green. Green's gonna put out a backhand. It's gonna be a tough read and it's gonna be taken away. Baudouin with the block. And Janae out there again for a defensive point. So Iris not resting their big D-line star.
Nope, I think they have an attitude coming into this where they're not going to let off the gas pedal. They're going to continue to grind this out, continue to play hard, and really, really try and punch this win.
Want to do it in style, of course, Venus and Cube, the other semifinal taking place right now. Janae gonna go with the backhand. And it's gonna work out. Great read there. Massé, second goal of the tournament. Going up large for the grab. make that 3 assists for Janae. The energy continuing here for Iris as we see the coaching staff talking to the players. And G, I want you to think about right now, because Iris taking advantage of some mistakes, but what are they doing on defense right now? And then conversely on offense to have this lead that they have currently.
You can tell that they are just zoned in right now. They are grinding it out. They're playing really, really strong match D. And just like Coach Fisher was saying, she wants to play touchable D. I could touch my defensive, I can touch the offensive player. I am there in their face, and I'm going to make this so difficult. And their game plan is working. It is really stifling Stella at the moment. And we'll see it again and see if this new line on D will do the same. Stella might have a chance right now, though. Even though they're down, they're just going to keep trying to come out, trying to make the right throws. And sometimes it is frustrating, but I do believe that once they kind of get into the game again, getting their feet under them, it might get a little bit better for them.
And haven't really been able to see Peterson out there. Naomi Peterson had 7 assists, 7 goals coming in this tournament. Want to see her maybe get some burn out there on offense. But right now, effort going to be the isolation cutter. Bobbles the disc and knocked away for good measure by Comtois. And now Elwar, a member of the TC U20 team that just came back from Poland, winning a bronze medal. Hopefully some of their coaches watching at home. Ripping it out of Green's hands, a little 6-for-6 matchup there. Goujon, high stall count. He's gonna throw it up high, effort is there. It's gonna sail over 2 players' heads and go to the turf.
Here we go, they're gonna get a second chance to do this again. Stella just needs to keep control of the disc, make some easy throws, and I do think, take a deep breath. I feel like they're a little tense out there. It's really hot on that turf right now too. We don't know if that's affecting them as well. And this wind is a little bit gusty, but at the same time, I think it's just their mindset right now.
You have 2 players collapsing on Marshall, the handler there. They need to find another safety valve. They do finally to Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh surveying options, finds Green up the line. Green has Marshall going deep, putting out the flick, but it's gonna hang up with 2 Iris defenders there and batted down twice and into the turf.
I think that's a good look. I think they needed to stretch the field a little bit, and Green's throw, I think, sat a little too long even for her. We've all said this the whole time during these streams, is that the wind is really unpredictable in there. There's another huck going up.
Pointing out for Comtois, who reels it with the right hand easily there. Resetting now to Dion. This D-line doing a great job of moving it. They were close on the last attempt. Elwar. Some big fakes, looking for a reset, finds in the middle of the field. Irish trying to punch in a break and go up 6-0 here in the semifinal. Finds a shot, no pick being called, and that's another goal for the Quebec side.
That was a tough point there for Stella, but at the same time, they got their turn back. They're really able to just try and push it up. They had an opportunity deep, and it just didn't work out. I do feel like they should keep trying, and they should just keep playing their game. They're just making a little bit of mistakes. There's some errors in there, but I think if once they start cleaning up, we can see that they can move that disc very well, and they'll be a lot more confident doing so once they make a few more completions.
Right now it seems like there's a lot of pressure in the underneath space. They tried to put it long, but that throw from Green to Marshall hanging up a bit. I think if it laid out into space, I think Marshall will run it down. And as we get Stella walking back to the offensive line, we can also take a look at the other semifinal happening with Cube and Venus. Venus besting Cube in pool play. That's a rivalry matchup. You know, a provincial battle that takes place throughout the year.
Love all the rivalries.
And now they get to meet in the semifinals, and perhaps going to be a Quebec. Well, there's 3 Quebec teams in the semi, so that's very exciting for that province.
There will be a Quebec. No matter what, it'll be great.
And it speaks to the development of the coaching staff there, not just in one city, but multiple cities as well.
Yeah, and Venus and Cube right now, big games. They have been playing really, really well and just trying so hard to get to where they are. They're in the semis with Venus winning and beating Stella on Universe yesterday. That surprised a lot of people, actually, and they deserve it. They've been playing hard. So hopefully we can see a really, really good game in that matchup as well.
Trying to keep the toes in, but just bouncing off the hands there. And you mentioned people were surprised, and I think also for Stella, maybe they had seen Venus as a 7 seed, perhaps maybe not even get a chance to see their games so far. So a great victory for them. Janae's going to put this out. Massey falls down, but going to see if there's a call or anything. There is a call.
That's some good spirit right there. It looks like they're saying I don't know, but just so everybody knows out there, that actually means uncontested foul. It's not a shrug, so don't you guys worry. It is a call on the field. It actually helps us out because we sometimes have no idea what's going on down there.
What's helpful, too, is that for both of these teams having played Worlds, as we mentioned, they had experience working with non-English speaking teams or international teams. With that, Massey putting it out, and great bid effort. I'd like to see Malte taking flight, trying to go horizontal there.
Now we get to see Stella again, making sure that this time, I hope that they can really grind this one out and try to make some adjustments on offense over here with their cuts. You could tell that Iris right now is doing a flatter mark, which is really, really tough for people to throw around, especially when the upfield defenders are doing so well guarding them in their face.
See the observer, Sheila Quintos, part of Team Orange. Trying to see who the other observer is on the far side. Sandra Hansen doing double duty here on the stream. Love to see that. Was on the last one, an exciting Universe Point victory. And we encourage you, if you're just tuning in, to check out that stream as well, and all of the streams that we've done on the CBC Sports YouTube. Throw going up, and it's a score for Iris. The break train continuing. Robert collects that one. One of the strong players on this team, making it happen.
Theo, I think that was one of the better points for Stella over there. Although they did score, I do feel like that they're really, really trying to make these adjustments. It might not be fast enough. Just with the way Iris moves on transition, I think it's really tough for them to just push through it and grind it out just as much, right? So Stella right now, I'm liking it. I'm liking that they're trying. I still see that they're really trying to push through right now because this is a big hump. But I think it's also in their mindset right now. It's a little mental game that's going on.
And with that mental game, they're going to try to take a recharge with a timeout. We're going to do the same and be right back. Thank you for joining us for I Am Ultimate's coverage of the 2022 Canadian Ultimate Championships. We got the women's semifinal between Iris out of Quebec in blue and Stella out of Ontario in white. Theo Wan here with G Lee, Tushar Singh on the ones and twos. Iris set to pull here up 7-0. And G, what has Iris been doing to really stifle this Stella offense?
Oh, man. When I talked to Coach Fisher and she was telling me about the different defenses, you can see that they're trying this flat mark out. And she told me she was worried about it, but I don't think she needs to worry right now. They're really forcing these players to throw to the sides, and what we're seeing is the disc is just going to the side. And it's making it really difficult for Stella to just grab those discs. And the cuts have to be adjusted. The angles have to be a little bit different now with that flat mark especially.
And Iris having the benefit of winning their pool. As we see a batted disc there. Topar.
There's a lot of athleticism going on right now, Theo. I don't know if you see it. Like,
well,
Iris
I definitely
is
see
fast.
it, the speed for sure from Iris. And
yeah.
a benefit for them is the fatigue factor. We know it's hot out here on the turf. As we see a great save from Topar, but as the cheers are made, an injury is called. And for Stella, they had to play that extra game. They did beat PPF handily yesterday, a comfortable victory. But the extra mileage on the legs can play a factor. It's also an extra mental thing to have to play an extra game.
Yeah, it's tough to kind of come back from a loss on Universe and then having to play a game right away, knowing that the next day you're going to be up against a really, really big rival of yours who's playing really good Ultimate right now. But you can see the fatigue set in, and mentally and physically as well. So what we want to do, like, it's hard. Right now they can't shake it off. I've talked about being a goldfish and just having short-term memory, but you can see it in their legs too. And I don't think the turf helps as much. A lot of players out there know that when you play out in the middle of the day on the turf, and especially, if, I'm going to tell you this, if you wear black cleats on there, your feet are done.
You're burning up with those
God.
cleats on. I hear you.
You're just done. Yeah, it's so bad. So there's a lot of heat. And it's just, maybe that's a factor right now. They're tired. They're tired both mentally and physically.
Both teams have tents, and they're going to take a break under that. We're going to do the same. It's halftime here in the women's semifinal. But, of course, there's more action to come. Stay tuned for mixed semifinal action at 12:30 Eastern as well.
This is Tushar Singh from I Am Ultimate. Thank you for joining us on the stream today. We have lots more Ultimate for you, and it looks to be an exciting day. We started with the mixed quarterfinal, which you can find, which went to Universe Point. This game right now underway. Iris with a commanding lead, and Stella on the field warming up, just getting maybe some of the jitters out, as we did see that some of the discs did bounce out of their hands. But looking forward, we have a mixed semifinal. You will see two teams that we haven't seen so far on the stream. It's going to, we're going to let the commentators give you the information on that in the background coming out of halftime. The other thing I do want to make you aware of is that we might have a scheduling change today. In fact, we are anticipating a scheduling change today rather than staying with our regular schedule. Our regular schedule was going to be the mixed semi, which we will still have, but then followed by the women's bronze and open bronze medal games. There is some concern on weather, especially weather tomorrow, and that schedule may change. The tournament director and Ultimate Canada will make that call at around just after noon Eastern. The teams are aware of this. An email went out last night. And so we just want to make sure that you are also aware of what might be a scheduling change. And if that is the case, please stay tuned both to Twitter as well as Ultimate Canada's Twitter, and then, of course, the CBC Sports YouTube stream. Once again, thank you for joining. Big thank you to the volunteers at this tournament, Ultimate Canada, the crew calling this game and participating in the whole week. And we'll look forward to bringing you the remainder of this tournament in whatever format it comes out.
I Am Ultimate's coverage of the 22 Canadian Ultimate Championships coming at you. It's Stella versus Iris here. Second half action. Theo Wan here with G Lee, Tushar Singh, our producer. On the VC Showcase field in Brampton, Ontario. Stella in the white jerseys on offense. Sparks getting a big undercut here for the Ottawa squad. A lot to discuss at that half, and some things to adjust, of course, for both teams as they continue to learn and get better. Jaffrey powering up a backhand, and Ramesh snagging it with the right hand. They get the hold.
This looks like a brand new team over here, brand new half, and Stella moving the disc with a lot more confidence and a lot more energy. They're able to get some great movement through the middle of the field and a really nice huck to finish that play off. They looked a little different. I watched them during half, and just so everybody knows, they were warming up again. I do think sometimes you just kind of get your energy back. You got to get your feet moving. And sometimes, Theo, I don't know if you ever done this before, but we talk to our feet. We're like, "Yo, feet, I need you to help me out here. You gotta make one step. If you make one step, I'll make the other step with you. We gotta do it together, okay?" So I think having that little talk to yourself, getting yourself back in a game, never ever consider yourself out of a game, hey? Don't give up. That was a really corny thing to say, but I had to do it.
Don't give up is true. It's a life lesson here from G Lee. So not only do you get some great commentary analysis, you also get life advice. And G, you also are coaching part of the juniors tournament coming up as well. So that's something that we're definitely excited for. I Am Ultimate will also be covering that. So stay tuned for that Monday to Wednesday.
And that's going to be a fun time, hoping the weather holds up. The juniors are going to be super fun to watch because I know that that's been held off for 2 years now. So we're going to be seeing a lot of new little kids coming. Well, not that little. They're like 14. But these
or older.
Okay,
you know,
14 to
18.
14 to 18. But these kids are coming out and they're going to just be part of this community and see how much fun it can be at CUC Nationals. And that's pretty much why Saskatchewan's bringing a team. We're just trying to introduce the sport to a bunch of new kids who've never seen it at this level.
And for Stella, you're going to have some players who've played in the Wicked program or in the women's junior program there and getting some experience. And same thing for Iris, having players that have played for ERA.
TC.
T10.
Yep, and TC as well. We've got some U20 players coming into both programs.
Cote will not be able to toe that in, so Stella gets a break opportunity. And you mentioned Team Canada players in the junior scene. We talked about Nina Elwar earlier as an example of that. So never in being called as Sheila Quintos gonna tell Samantha Green, the handler, to move things up, get a little more distance for yourself.
And you can tell again that they are pushing Iris to the side of the field. They're trying to get their throws right to the sideline, and once they do, they're getting a chance every single time to get that disc back.
Going around to Michaud. You know, Green's gonna quarterback here. Doesn't get the reset yet, but Michaud's gonna find Brenneman. Her maiden name being Brenneman, now Wilson, Laura Wilson. Got the on the back of the jersey, so we'll go with Wilson here, 57, making the cut. Also played for Stello.
Oh, I heard that they did pretty well out at World Masters.
He's played for PPF as well. Stello had a great tournament.
Yes, they did.
Gee, you were there, I believe.
Oh, no, I wasn't.
You were not there.
I was a fan. I was watching,
there.
and I was a fan. I didn't want to play in that wind and rain, but huge fan.
It's been great weather here this day so far. And we mentioned the hotness of the turf and teams being able to cool off at half. Wilson now gonna go with the flick, looking for the break. Fowler taking it up strong there. Excuse me, that's Schultz. Just gonna double check the number there. I believe it is Fowler making the grab. Caitlin Fowler making a play.
Great movement by Stella over there, Theo. They moved the disc really well. They were really patient. And again, looking for the right shots. The wind being unpredictable as it is, you could see that they're really, really trying right now to focus on their throws and focus on catching that disc. This is a bit of a different team we're seeing right now.
We see this in other sports too, G, where a team is up big. You see it a lot in basketball.
Yes.
Where a team's up 20 points. Don't know if there's any WNBA or NBA fans in the crowd, but you see them
I'm
up
one.
by a lot of points.
Yep.
And then the other losing team slowly creeps back because you get a false sense of security sometimes. You're feeling loosey-goosey. And you know Iris with their veteran coaching staff not going to let that happen.
No, they are a veteran team. They have practiced very, very hard this year. I don't know if you're on their Instagram, Theo, but I've seen some of their training and their regimen, and it's a good one. So they have been working very hard, and that's what you need when you want to just go beyond, just a good team. This is where we go into excellence.
They not just go hard physically, they also go hard on the social media game.
They do.
They're out there posting stories, trying to get people to follow the team and learn more about the squad.
And I know you love that, Theo. It helps you out a lot.
I do love that, and I think it also helps in a development sense, helping youth players see, oh, this could be me.
Exactly.
And Stella, a third straight point opportunity, a second break. Samantha Green getting a lot of mileage out here and is going to pick up the disc. Faking the inside shot, going to settle for a reset instead.
And there's that flat mark again. We're seeing Iris going back into it, making Stella push that disc all the way to the side, and it floats right out. There's their plan, putting into place.
the flat mark, taking maybe even a step back too as well.
Yeah.
Really making yourself as wide as possible on the mark, doing a great job there.
Some people tend to think, oh, wow, what a grab. But some people tend to think that it is easier to go closer to a person. But as you can tell, sometimes it isn't. Go further back. And they just melted from a zone into a person D. Stella is trying their best to really make Iris uncomfortable right now with these different defenses.
Couple players going up line, clogging up a little space for the Quebec outfit. Prévost's going to have to put up a high stall throw. Robert is there. Chu, Wilson, Green, and Robert is going to get it with the right hand. Going to break out. Godere finds Chu for the score, so Iris does get the hold. Staving off some big momentum from Stella.
That was a great point by Stella, too, on defense. Able to stifle Iris, make them slow the game down, and throw a high one. But at the same time, Iris is calm. They're kind of cool and collected right now. So even those jump balls that you're seeing, they're just watching that disc really well, very focused, still in the game, although it's a bigger score than maybe they've seen in a little while. They're in it.
See offensive players walking back on the field. Coach Tim Ambry as well. Jogging out there, or sauntering, I should say, or walking, leading his squad. Part of the coaching staff that's really trying to continue to grow women's ultimate in Ottawa. And we mentioned this during the Luna game as well, where a few of the players on the Stella team, Marshall being one of them, participating at TCU 20, and having multiple players from that city represented on that national team is really great for their development, and really excited to see what that city continues to produce in terms of talent on both sides, on both divisions.
We're seeing development from different cities than we normally do, Theo. I think a lot of times Toronto, Vancouver develop a lot of youth players, but now we're seeing Ottawa come out there, Quebec come out with all these juniors.
Prairies too, you gotta throw the Prairies in there.
Oh yeah, Maddie Ong, she's a Prairie one. So we're seeing a ton, and I think what's good about that is that we're giving opportunities for everybody from all over Canada to play this sport and develop.
Ramage has Kavanaugh going deep. This is going to float, and Kavanaugh snags it over the defender's outstretched arm. Looking for Ramage, who did throw the pass, and Ramage following her huck, getting the goal.
Great patience over there by Stella. They're just, they look different right now. Their heads are high. They're playing the game. They don't care about the score. They're just going point for point, which I think is the best way to do it, right? Mental game kind of note there. Always just go point for point. Don't think about the end result. That was a coach advice right there for you guys.
Yeah, there probably are some junior coaches or aspiring coaches in the audience. 3-1 is the score line, at least in the second half for Stella. So they had got that break, able to do some damage to Iris, and hoping to see some more excitement here for the fans at home. We keep talking about the streams, but we'd be remiss to not talk about our producer, Tushar Singh, giving up his time to run the sound, make sure we sound good, make sure everything looks good, manning the camera as well. So giving a big shout out to Tushar Singh, as well as many of the other volunteers at this tournament. We're in the yellow shirts. G, you've gone around, you do something really cool, with the volunteers. You go and say hi to them and thank everyone.
I try my best to go around and thank everyone. I was a volunteer for one of the games, and I feel appreciated when I sit there and score keep and ask them who scored what. So I think it's great that there's so many volunteers. I heard there's about 50 to 60 or maybe a little bit more people helping out. So if you see a yellow shirt around until Wednesday, say thank you. They're coming out here in the heat, sitting down, watching their game, and they're having a good time. A zone look again from Stella. It's making it hard for Iris to move the disc as fast as they want it. Maybe slowing it down a little is actually really, really good for Stella right now.
Make Iris think about their throws a little bit. Williams getting it back over to Nguyen. This Iris squad finishing 13th at the World Ultimate Club Championships. They were seated kind of in that bottom barrel. There's a lot of teams in that 25 to 53 range. Iris being one of them, getting one of the later bids to that championship and finishing up in the top 16. Got to be exciting for that program.
Oh, I think every time you can hit top 20 at Worlds, you're just super proud to be there. But Worlds is a very, very different experience compared to CUCs or any other tournament. Just playing other countries and seeing how other countries play the same sport you do is it's a very good way to kind of get, out there.
The McGill product, Beerus, not able to reel that one in. And Stella gets a break opportunity. They've had a few so far. And we'll see what Iris decides to do here on defense. Looking very zony from my perspective.
Looks a little zony to me too. I think they're trying to clog that sideline over there and really make it hard for Stella to make an upline cut, forcing them to throw it to the middle.
And making a great grab to save that was Georgia Cameron, one of the young stars, budding stars on this team, trying to make some plays.
Stella's looking nice and calm right now. I'm really liking their movement and their decisions on this as Iris is trying to move it. McKnight with the throw.
McKnight looking deep, trying to get that break, and it's going to settle into the hands. Great shot to McCorkle.
McKnight over there, I'm going to give her a huge shout out right now, especially because she is from Saskatchewan. She actually started playing not long ago, her last year in high school, and has only been here for 2 or 3 years just because of university. But, oh yeah, she's loving this sport right now. She actually came from, I think, a basketball background and got into Ultimate, and you know why? CUC Juniors. That's why.
So this is why it's so important for fans of home of Ultimate. Come support the streams. Watch the streams. Share it with your friends, because that's a way a lot of these young kids become the ballers you see here today. 40 minutes left in this one, so lots of time right now for Stella to mount this comeback. They've already narrowed the gap a bit. 9-4 the score here. We got a score update, by the way. Sorry to cut you off there,
No, that's
G.
fine.
But our third member of our broadcast team, Clayton Howlett, doing the work on the ground, which we do like you did it earlier, providing us some score updates. Cube up 8-6 currently on Venus, and will receive in the second half.
Wow, we've got some games going on today. Lots of universe points as well, so these tight games are great, and this one looks like it's closing in a little bit. Stella's looking very, very different. They've got some legs under them and lots of energy, so we'll see what their defense is going to do now. Looks like a zone set, Theo.
It's a zone set, and Iris going to have to be patient working around it. They're going to try to take away some of those middle shots, as we've talked about. Iris doing that with their flat mark and person defense, and Stella doing it in their zone.
And right now you can tell Stella's trying to push them all the way to the sides, not allowing any throws through the middle.
See if Iris decides to go over the top at some point. Right now just working it side to side. Prévost being very calm with the disc with Vinay.
Not sure if anybody sees the flags in the background over there, but they are really flying right now.
Robert catching it just outside the end zone. Finding her receiver, who finds Godert for the score. Juan Jacques with the assist. Fifth of the tournament.
Great hold by Iris over there. Very patient with the disc, not trying to force it through that middle, like I said. There's some times where you're tempted to throw those cross field swings or things like that, especially in a zone, but they did a really good job of holding that disc and keeping possession.
Stella offensive line back on the field. You mentioned a different team on the field, but I also see a different team on the sidelines. The energy. We always talk about energy. There should be like a meter somewhere on the scoreboard for energy, just based on how teams are up and down. We saw that in the mixed quarterfinal that we had earlier in Spawn and Danger Noodle. When Danger Noodle got those 2 breaks to end the game, their energy level was super high. And it's one of those things that statisticians, of course, cannot calculate, because you can't measure energy per se. But you can feel it, and you can feel the momentum. I was told by a statistician friend you can't measure momentum, but I think you can feel it in the air. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I felt it, and I was about 2 or 3 fields away, Theo. I could feel the momentum and just the vibe.
The vibe. All about the vibes.
Oh, the feels. You just know that there's energy right now, and also body language. That's a big thing I think that people kind of take for granted or not even think about. Great pull over there by Iris.
The Stella team back on offense, and we talked about Spawn being founded in '95. Another team founded that same year, Justine Price being one of the founders of this Ottawa group. Peterson has had a great stat line so far in this tournament, gets the disc. Great young star for the Stella squad. Over to Sparks. Vertical stack look from Stella. Sparks needs a reset. He's going to fight it down the field instead for an undercut.
Great movement right now by Stella. They're being very, very patient. And you could tell that they're adjusting their throws. So they're not pushing it too far to the sideline. And their cuts have made a slight angle change so that it's a little easier to catch those discs, especially with that flat mark that Iris is really, really trying to put on Stella. Iris hasn't let up though. They're still grinding it through. That D is still very, very tough to get around. And also the upfield defense. I don't think any of these ladies have stopped running, except right now as they're walking to the end zone line.
During the points, it's full gear for both squads, and 3 offensive points for Stella this half, and by my calculations, 3 clean holds. So things definitely changing for them. They're down 5 right now, and their defense has ratcheted up. And you get a couple breaks here and there, a couple bounces your way, and you got an epic comeback, and they're already on that pursuit right now, cutting that 8-point deficit to 5 and slowly chipping away here. So we do appreciate you tuning in for this stream and want to thank, of course, our sponsors as well. Gee, to make this tournament possible, you got Discraft, you got VC, you got the city of Brampton, you got the province of Ontario. We appreciate you. That's all I'm going to say. We appreciate you.
We appreciate you. We appreciate your weather right now. Thank you for moving the thunderstorms away. We love you.
Crayville going to this far side, finds Williams. And Iris moving quite quickly here. Robert had Cote, but they're going to work it up instead, just at midfield for the team in blue. Scooping down to get that one. Edmond.
I really like how Stella went from a zone and melted immediately, but has still slowed Iris down a little. They're not having their first shot and making Iris think a little bit more before they make their throw.
Side to side movement. Wilson's closing in. Just misses the disc, and Edmond is going to get the grab. 5th goal of the tournament. And Wilson was right there.
Yep, it was a great movement by Iris over there. They looked clean. Swinging side to side and making that look really easy. Stella did a wonderful job of just trying to stop those throws, but in the end, you miss it by like a fingernail. And those are the tough ones because you know you're there.
That's where you try not to watch back the tape as well because you know how oh so close you were.
Yeah, you keep remembering it over and over again.
And I know film being a great part of learning. So if you're someone playing in the juniors tournament, watch some of these games. Don't just watch your division, watch the other divisions. Help the views up on YouTube, but also help your game and development. My suggestion, this is just personal, is you pick a player that you think plays similar to you. Watch them on the field. You don't necessarily need to watch the disc. If you're a big throwing handler, find that person on the field, watch them. If you're a cutter in the lanes, watch them. Shut down defender, same thing.
I love that we have so much access right now with media and content. From these videos over here, Tushar's putting out amazing stuff for us, and we get to watch this every single time. I know a lot of people in different provinces right now are catching all these games. I've got some texts from friends in Winnipeg. Shout out to Carmen Lee, and she's giving me some advice as well, but she hasn't been on air before, but she's helping me out here, Theo. I'm liking the advice I'm getting from all over the place. BC, Calgary. Oh, it's great. It's great.
Shows also how wide the ultimate community is. So we often play in our own provinces and think about our own cities, especially for the major city center, but we forget about how ultimate continues to grow throughout the country, and getting to be here is a great example of that. Kavanaugh moving with pace here. Going to put on a backhand for Peterson. Pearson going to stay in bounds for the score.
That was great movement by Stella, and Kavanaugh just letting it rip at the end. That one hung a little bit. I was a little worried the Iris player was coming right into that play, but Stella did a great job of moving the disc. Their confidence right now, and they're actually popping it to each other quicker. They're not holding on to that disc too long, making it hard for Iris actually to set up on D. Great strategy. Great adjustment. It's good.
Peterson, one of those wicked products we were talking about with the junior system. So for the juniors coaches that are coming from Ottawa, you get to see the fruits of your labor, which is awesome. I know they're going to continue to build that.
That's a gutsy throw, Theo.
That is.
I love it.
But we like that when you're able to play freely, and I think we're seeing that especially in the second half, G, where teams are definitely playing a little bit more free, letting things flow, especially from the Stella side, and we're seeing it work to great success. So that's something you can take into your next game or next year, wherever that next tournament is, that, hey, if we play like this, we can be successful.
Exactly. 30 minutes left in this game. We have Stella on defense right now with Iris coming out. Iris, of course, maintaining great composure and poise in these games. And we're going to see if they can work this up nice and smoothly.
Iris back here on offense. Center to the disc and continue to move things over now to Williams.
There's that zone. This is a bigger zone than we've seen before. They're trying to push them over to our sideline over here. And again, melted really quickly, transitioned right into person D. Iris is moving it pretty well, though. Oh, that's a completed throw. Oh, it's a pick.
I think that's where the O came from UG, is you're thinking maybe that throw's going to get completed, but then there's a pick call.
Those cross-field throws, like, I love them. They're just
You're a handler,
exciting.
aren't you?
No. Yes, I am, Theo, you're right.
Robert, the cutter, going to keep the disc. Pick did not affect that throw. So Robert, multiple Team Canada junior member, also was named to the beach team that didn't happen. The women's beach team, along with Emond, Malte, and Chu, all on that team. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but we're back here in action at CUCs, and Goder gets another assist for the Irish side.
Goder made a really, really nice cut there to get away from her defender, making it really easy for that little dish into the end zone. Iris is looking great. They're not showing any signs of nervousness. They're very calm and cool, which I must say that's pretty much Iris all the time. They're pretty calm and cool. How do you say that in French?
In English, I know it's just ice cold. They're just ice cold. Got ice in the veins here, and thank you for tuning in from the province of Quebec and Ontario and wherever you're from. As we were able to get a lot of different provinces represented, something that I know I Am Ultimate is very proud of, being able to have different teams from those programs and those city centers or towns represented. We had Regiment on yesterday for a great game against Out, an absolute fight and right to the end. Had Spawn earlier today from New Brunswick. Going to get some more action for you in that mixed semifinal at 12:30 Eastern. PBHG from Winnipeg, a Worlds qualifier, I might add, playing at WUC, taking on TT out of Vancouver, the 4th seed in the semifinals. That's kind of where they were seeded, and that's where they're headed. Can they advance to the finals? We're going to find out. You got to tune in. Got to tune in.
Good pull over there by Iris right onto the sideline. Looks like they're trying to trap her right there.
Up the line for Marshall, making the grab and ruled out of bounds. Great effort from the youngster. Making the future of Stella look very bright here. Getting a spot on the offensive line as well. I was going to reset things to the middle, and that throw's going to be too far. So Stella's offense, chance to work here. And they've had some great success in this half.
They really have, Theo. They're doing a good job in this second half of moving that disc, as I was saying. Quick movement, nice easy throws, gutsy throws as well.
Kavanaugh making things happen with the throws. And you love Wardle just putting the disc down Been there before, done that. Just going to put it on the turf.
Kavanaugh's looking really relaxed right now. I think she's doing a great job of just putting these discs out there and knowing and confidently knowing that she is going to put it in the end zone and her teammate will catch it. 3 of them right now, Theo. 3!
3 assists for Kavanaugh of the 7 points for Stella. 12-7 the score, but if you've been calculating at home or with us, it's actually a 7-4 half for Stella, so they've really turned things around. You mentioned the different team, and I definitely feel that in the air. So right now, Stella back on defense. They've run a zone look. Do you expect them to do something like that again?
I think they're just going to do as much as they can to make it uncomfortable and make Iris really, really work for these points. I do think Iris, though, something I've noticed with them as a team is that even when points are being scored against them, they always keep that same energy no matter what. So you don't actually know sometimes whether they're winning or losing. And they're just so it looks professional. You know what I mean? Like they're professional athletes. That's what this looks like right now.
Give and go action here from Iris to get things moving, and there's a bump, but things will continue. Moving in, firing things over Robert. Always roaming the deep space, dangerous out there.
There is a zone set again, and now they have melted right back into person D. Also putting a flat mark on.
You know, you see it in a lot of sports where one team starts a strategy, other teams start to mimic it because you see it works. Why don't we try it for ourselves? So
exactly.
Perhaps Stella taking a play out of the Iris book there. A round shot, potentially opening up some options there. Looking for Robert, and that throw is going to hit the turf. Trying to go around was Joanne Jacques.
Here's a break chance for Stella to move it. It is against the wind right now, so we'll see what they can do.
Going through to Desjardins, another member of that Stello squad playing for them. Staying with it, great concentration. Stockbrugger then throws it in the hands of Cote. But this is an important defensive point, trying to narrow the lead down to 4.
Yeah, they had their opportunity there, but the wind did pick up, everybody. Just so everyone knows, the wind did pick up. So the edges right now are going to be really important as people are trying to throw this disc.
Robert, guarded by McFarland, floating it over to Prévost. Prévost has a teammate going into the end zone, and Joanne Jacques will go up the line, restoring
Jacques
the 6-point advantage.
Great cut up that line over there, leading, and the throw was being led right into the space. Just smooth with the wind. The wind helped too. It's just sat there for her to put right into her hands.
And the upline cut can be very devastating to stop. We see players just a quick juke to the backfield. You got the defender's hips turned, and boom, they're gone to the end zone. So hard to stop in those small spaces. A lot of these squirrely or fast handlers.
Yes, those are the ones that are the most difficult to figure out, because if you get stuck going one way, you're just going to be watching their number on the back of their jersey going up that line, catching that disc. We've got Iris right now back on defense with Stella starting an O-line, hoping to keep this hold. The game right now is 13-7, but we do feel like Stella right now has just a different vibe going on. They're more relaxed, really, really trying hard to push through these points and keep this margin a little closer. But like we've said before, the composure that Iris is showing, they're not letting up, and they're just playing as hard as they did in the beginning. Both sides are working really, really hard for these points, so it's never doesn't feel like it's the game's over.
Third member of our broadcast team, Clay Howlett, informing us of the score. Cube still up 2, 9-7 on Venus. Kavanaugh looking for a 4th assist perhaps. And what a shot. Emily Kavanaugh is having a great second half for Stella.
Theo, is there a heat check in Ultimate Frisbee?
There should be.
There should be, but she's just throwing some big bobs right now, right down the field, right into her players' hands, and making it look so easy.
they're giving up that back, and it seems like Kavanaugh really favoring it. She's put out a flat throw, put some edges on it as well, getting it away from the stack. So Kavanaugh doing a great job. The U Ottawa product really putting the offense on her back as there was a timeout called. Also was named to the Team Canada U20 team in 2020. That didn't happen, unfortunately, but a timeout called to the team in white out of Ottawa. That will allow us to take a timeout, and we'll be right back. We're back from the timeout. Stella taking one. They want to perhaps power up a D-line here. Down 5 in the second half, but really making a push here so far in this frame. Doing a great job of making adjustments to the mark of Iris. It's Theo Wan here with G. Lee, Tushar Singh as our producer. We thank you for tuning in. VC Showcase Field, Brampton, Ontario is the site. And we got mixed semifinal action. G, you're going to be on the call for that. Are you excited for PBHG and TT? That's going to be a slugfest, I think, back and forth game.
I think it's going to be a really big back and forth game over there. PBHG is looking really good right now. TT just came off of a really close game, actually, against Harfang. And I'm not sure if it was Universe, but I'll tell you it was like around the 13s. And so really close games everywhere around. I think everything from now up is going to be super exciting.
Prayville going to put it up for Robert. Wilson was split between two players. Amon resetting it back to Vinay, Vinay was trying to get someone to go up line. Going to go around instead. This throw's hanging up. Fowler can't get there. Try to block it.
Iris being really patient again, looking for the right cuts. Stella's coming in hot right now. They are not giving up on those discs, and they're just running right through with those Iris players. You can see that Iris is having a hard time just pushing it through that middle over there and having to swing that disc a lot more. And there's your turn.
McKnight on the mark. You mentioned a Saskatoon, Saskatchewan product. You know, there's many cities there, of course. So Wilson now has been a big handler for this D-line, going to pick up the disc. Kind of in a coffin corner, more so they're on the break side, so there's some open side options, but before she can find them, there's a pick call.
Good opportunity right here for Stella to get a break, narrowing this gap by one more point.
Inside shot, and I think at some point they're going to have to look deep. They've been working a lot of unders going left to right on the screen, see if they can find their way out of it. Great cut there from Michaud. Keeping things moving to Ing. And now Wilson having it in power position, putting out a flick, finds Fowler. And Fowler just inches away, looking for McKnight up the line, and McKnight takes the contact. Makes the grab. We're going to wait for a ruling. Sheila Quintos and Sandra Hansen looking unified and calling it a score. Stella gets the break. It's 13-9 now.
Great movement by Stella up against the wind there. They moved it really, really nicely with a great cut by McKnight in the end zone. What a grab. with some contact as well. So, yeah, I can't say more about that. That was great. I'm a huge fan of McKnight right now, and this comeback might be there, Theo. It feels like a comeback.
Momentum is changing. We talk about you feel it in the air. With just over 15 minutes left in this contest, Iris has 2 timeouts. So if they need to reset their squad, I think I'm just going to play prediction coach here. If they do give up a break here, I would call a timeout. I'm not sure what other coaches would do, but momentum is clear on Stella's side right now, looking at what they've done this half as part of that.
We'll see what Coach Fisher does, because that's the interesting thing, hey? Coach Fisher, she's got things in her brain, lots of plans, a lot of strategy.
See her on the sideline just thinking right now by herself.
Hand on her chin. She's thinking real hard.
Samantha Green back out there wasn't on that point, and they're able to score without a big handler for them. So that's going to bode confidence as well. Prevost collects.
We see another zone set, Theo, by Stella right now. It's a little flatter than we've seen before, not your usual cup.
And they've melted into person, so just showing it for a few, taking away Iris's pull play and comfortability. Prevost has also played in the Team Canada Junior scene. Always buzzing around. Trying to go up line, and Nguyen's going to change the field, going to Amond. Amond then finds Nguyen. As Iris really moving it forward here. Needing a critical hold at this juncture of the contest. 2 points away from the cap at 15, but Stella really pressing for a comeback attempt. Wilson falls to the turf, and it's going to call an injury, so throw looks like it's going to go back, but we'll double check to confer or make sure. Wilson's been a pivotal part of this D-line.
She really has, and that was a really hard rundown that Wilson did over there. I think she just tripped up on her foot, and looks like she's okay. She's walking off, and there are substitutions made for both Iris and Stella.
Janae coming on for Iris. You're allowed to, if the other team takes a sub, you can take one as well. So they're going to put Marie Janae, one of their handlers, on the field.
And that's the only kind of sub that we can do in a game, Theo, remember. For those not too familiar, if you are injured during the game, you can sub out for another player, but that is the only time that there are substitutions.
Janae will find Cote on the open side, so Janae makes an impact right away on the sub and stops that 2-point run from Stella.
Stella did a good job of trying to hold Iris back there. Iris had to make a few more throws than I think they wanted, and making them actually work really, really hard for those discs.
$14-9 the scoreline. If you're Iris, you don't want to go to time cap and just end it like that. You want to finish, punch it in, 15-9 scoreline, or 15-10, but you want to really punch it in. They'll be taking on the winner of Cube Venus. Been told that Cube up 4 points now, so we knew it was going to be one Quebec team from that side in the final, and perhaps with Iris, the scoreline the way it is, going to be 2. And so an all-Quebec women's final, really exciting for that province and for other programs to be able to see what type of competition is out there.
The only way that's going to happen, Theo, is if Iris finishes this game now. We have time left. So for those out there, they're like, yeah, Iris has got this in the bag. I actually don't know, because Stella's coming in hot. Like I said, if we had a heat check, this is the time to use it. So 14-9, Stella with the disc, and here comes that really hard mark, pressuring Stella right now to make a huge throw.
Jaffray trying to find Kavanaugh with the greatest. It's kept in bounds, but it's ruled out of bounds by observer Hansen. So that spectacular play going to be negated there.
That was the heat check we needed, because I think Kavanaugh is going to be the one that's going to help.
Was going to catch it and then launch it for sure.
Oh, yes. That was a great attempt at a greatest over there. And if nobody knows, you have to have one of your body parts, let's just say, inbounds inside the line for it to count. And if you jump from the inside out and in the air to throw that disc, it's still considered in. But she must have been out already.
Couple dangerous throws there from Iris, able to be snagged down. A round shot for Janae. Just too far, and you see the pace that Stella's playing with. They know time is not on their side. Jaffray gets fouled by Janae, and the WFDF hand signals being used. Love that. No foul. Oh, sorry, excuse me. A foul, not contested. They're not shrugging their shoulders, as you mentioned.
Oh, sorry.
High release backhand, changing the field over to Marshall, a recent graduate of the Ottawa Juniors program. Keeping things moving. Jaffray is going deep, working on Janae. Disc will not stay in bounds.
Theo, what we're seeing is here the Hawks from actually the sidelines right now are tougher than it seems. I think they're just kind of soaring out more so than both teams think they will, and they're just not reading it correctly, and maybe the wrong edge, but it's tough to say right now. The wind is starting to build again. Very unpredictable.
We want to see how this impacts this contest, but also the next one that's coming at you at 12:30 Eastern, a mixed semifinal. PBHG out of Winnipeg, TT out of Vancouver. As they're looking up the line for Jaffray, he's not going to get there, but coming down with it is her teammate for the score, Ballantyne. And they're staying in it, folks. Now they got 10. 5 breaks for them. 4 breaks, excuse me.
And again, the good thing for Iris right now is that there are still more opportunities to finish this game. And I think what Coach Fisher might want out of this is to finish this game faster. Have a longer break and try to rest your feet after. Like I said before, turf is hot. Playing on this surface is just really difficult sometimes, and having a longer break would be good. Ideally, you would want to end this a little earlier so that you can rest your players in the shade. So we've got a different looking O-line coming out right now with, it looks, a few changes on the D-line for Stella over here, but with Green having the disc, I do think they're just going to come out with just no fear whatsoever, and I think that's the way to play it. At this point in the game, with little time left, you're going to go out there and try to cause a turn. 8 minutes left.
8 minutes and change left in this game. Enough time for a little comeback action on the stream.
They'll need a quick turn if they're going to have to do that, Theo.
Get a block, you know, a drop pull. You never know what could happen. Iris trying to stymie that right now, moving quickly. And you mentioned, if they can punch us in, they'll feel a little bit more confident. They probably will look back and think about some of the opportunities that they gave away, and especially losing this half based on the scoreline. But they built up that lead in the first, going up 8-0, unprecedented 8-0.
What I do see is that there's no urgency in Iris, which is good too, because I think sometimes you got to keep it real nice and calm for things to happen.
Instead, they're going to shoot a shot that's going to result in a skying goal instead. They didn't hear you there.
They didn't hear me, but they were so close. They were like, you know what? I got to do it. It's jump ball. Between two Stella players, I got to make this look good, and we got to end this game. So never mind. Whatever I said was wrong, but you guys, that game was great. It was a great comeback there, Theo.
A comeback effort just a little short for Stella, but down 8-0, they got to be happy with the resilience they showed. They're going to have to bounce back because there's going to be a women's bronze medal game here today. The loser of Cube Venus, right now Cube still up a few points. So there could be time for a comeback on that game as well, because there is still time remaining on the clock. But right now, Iris moving on to the finals. The number 1 seed dispatches the number 2 to move on to the semifinals. Don't go away, because at 12:30, Winnipeg PBHG, Vancouver TT, mixed semifinal, continuing their road for a championship. We'll see you then.